good evening, good night, wherever you are. Welcome to the effects of COVID-19 on the family, the blueprint. And today our topic is suicide. So take this time to like, share, invite your family and friends to join in this discussion because we're going to have some very important information to share and we're going to get through this COVID-19 pandemic together. Yes, so welcome one and all.
Every time I see it weaken, it makes me want to cry. Oh, what a shame. 'Cause another home's falling apart. Oh, what a shame. Another group of broken hearts. It's not a secret. We all know that it's slipping away. Don't let it go, no.
So we are on the inside, Mike. We are on the inside.
Yeah. Good afternoon to each and every one of you, and welcome to the effects of COVID-19 on the family, the blueprint with Shamika James, our social worker right here at Radio Irie. As you can look on the screen, you will see there are some telephone numbers, lifeline. Hey, man talking boy, I don't know eyebrows. What is that? Yeah, so so you can look at the emergency numbers. Attempted suicide, you can call 990-811 or 999. All right. So good evening to each and every one of you, all those who locked on. We discussing what?
Suicide.
Nice one.
Yes, so we welcome each and every one to the effects of COVID-19 on the family, the blueprint. And we have Verena with us. And maybe later on we may have some of our other team members joining us in this discussion. Right now, suicide is a very, what I'll say is a very sad thing to deal with, right? A lot of times people don't feel comfortable talking about suicide because it's like taboo, but it is important to bring about suicide awareness. And it is important to know the signs of when someone is having suicidal thoughts, suicidal behaviors, what to look for. Because you don't want that someone close to you commits suicide and then when they do, you're wondering, what could I have done to help this person? Right? And someone may commit suicide for many different reasons. Right? So we know that suicide is where someone takes their own life, right? So that is what suicide is, taking your own life, and this is done voluntarily. Someone wouldn't force you to commit it. So you commit suicide as something that is voluntary. Okay, so we're going to start with what are some of the reasons persons may commit suicide. So Verena, what are some of the reasons you think someone may attempt to commit suicide or even commit suicide?
But I think one of the reasons would be feeling alone, like would be a feeling like nobody loves you, nobody cares about you. And probably if you're going through some depression or you're in a depressive state, it may lead you to commit suicide.
Yes, definitely. Right. And sometimes in addition, some persons may think, this person look happy, go lucky all the time, and then all of a sudden this person commits suicide, right? So sometimes suicide is quite much premeditated, and there are other times that suicide will be very spontaneous in that it will be a shock to some because somebody may be going or seem to be doing very well emotionally, right? So suicide is only when you are in a mental state of, you break down due to certain circumstances, situations, someone may commit suicide. right? So some persons who are at risk for suicide are those who. Good evening, Abby. Well, good night to
Good
Abby.
night.
It's
Good
night
night.
time over there. So we have Abby with us. Abby's from England. So those of you who are now, joining us, this is Abby who just joined in on the, joining us here to talk about suicide. So Abby, before I continue, what are some of the reasons you think that persons commit suicide?
Well, they had a lot of suicide incidents over here since the lockdown, due to loss of jobs, the bills keep piling up, worries, how to pay it. People here don't play with it, the money. So, you can really
True.
get stressed and, I don't know, and mental health and all these stuff just pile up on you and
Mm-hmm.
they just think there's
Yeah.
one way out.
Yes. Yes, Shulan, there will always be an England. Yeah, so um yes, definitely. And because it is the effects of COVID-19 has put a lot of persons under stress, as we would have spoken about, in one of our previous sessions, right? And it also would have led to depression, loss of income, persons, of course, their bills are piling up. So even though some persons may have even, having to deal with even some nurses and doctors having to deal with the stresses of persons, just being sick. That too can become depressing. That too can put persons, in a very depressed state. One, it can have them feeling hopeless because you're seeing death upon death. And it is just stressful on the body itself, mentally and physically, right? So it could, persons may commit suicide for so. And just recently, we would have had a young man committing suicide in Trinidad and Tobago. That would have been last week, right? Now, the reason that they said he committed suicide is because he had a disagreement over a cell phone. But we know it's more than that, right? We know it's more than that. And parents, it is vacation, right? And sometimes we don't want to be the person to push somebody to the edge of wanting to commit suicide. We don't want to be the person that pushes someone to the point that they think that they are all alone or they have no one to turn to, right? Because sometimes persons they may be really trying to hold on. The line is very thin, right? I don't have much to hold on to anymore. And we really don't want to be that person to push that person over the edge, right? It's that serious. You don't know what people are going through. At no point in time, far less for now, right? So it's financial constraints. Persons, they are unable to pay their bills, they are unable to provide food for their families. It has so many things that persons are going through. They think that, what, they should just end it all. It's like, what am I living for? Right? Some persons feel that they have no purpose in life. Right? So they may commit suicide because it's like, what is my purpose for being here?
What
And
about
if it is they feel like,
what about low self-esteem?
All right. So beside the low self-esteem, yes, it may play a part. But it wouldn't really somebody with low self-esteem, if someone is constantly bullying them, abusing them, so let us say they are going through physical abuse, they're experiencing verbal and emotional abuse, or even financial abuse, that could push them. They will feel, of course, they will have a low self-esteem, and that can push them to the edge to commit suicide, because it's like, why am I going through all this pain? Right? That is where that will come in, because we will see that, and the World Health Organization said that over 700,000 persons under the age of 19, they died due to suicide. Those are persons who would have committed suicide. So that's a large number worldwide.
Is that
In a year.
Is that peer pressure?
I wouldn't say peer pressure. Remember, not even children who have stresses, it have children who would be bullied constantly and nothing is being done. So if it is nothing is being done, they will feel as if no one wants them around. So if somebody feel that they have no reason to be around, they may commit suicide or they may attempt to commit suicide because there's no one around. So we want to go to a short break, and when we come back, we're gonna throw it out there. Has anyone ever felt very alone during this time? Anyone ever felt like, what, can I really handle this COVID-19 pandemic? What am I going to do to get through this? So when we come back, we're going to discuss some more about suicide and why persons may commit suicide. Yeah.
Nice. So you're listening
I
to
bring it, I 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 bring it, bring the iron love. I bring it, 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 bring the iron. Hold it, make some noise, jump around and make some noise. Hold it, make some noise, jump around and make some noise. Nothing sweeter than hearing the sound of who I am.
This is Igir Riri from Basic Unconventional Raw Nutrition, inviting you to Sweaty Soca Sunday with your girl Chica J.
You don't know.
So we are back. We are back speaking the effects of COVID-19 on the family, the blueprint with social worker Shamika James. And you guys could look under the screen on the ticker and you'll see a couple numbers there that you can call. 24 hotline 800 555 88 or 231 2824 220 3636. Emergency attempted suicide, you can call 990 811 or 999. So, Shamika, we back inside.
Yes, we are back inside. So, Abby, you work in the health sector, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Right. So, tell me, have you ever experienced where someone is, they have a chronic illness, they are very sick, they are going through pain, and they ask, some people will call in asking for help to end it?
I don't really work on that section of the health aspect, but I have witnessed one time volunteering that it have some elderly people going through chronic pain, and they would beg for relief, They would beg, they would cry, scream, kick, but because it's illegal to assist them in that kind of, situation.
Right.
You just have to watch them go through it. I mean, it's sad, but there's nothing we could do.
Yeah. You call that, we call it, I remember working ambulance, we used to call it end of life. When they at end of life stage, you can't, you literally see them lying there, sometimes in the ambulance, and the only thing you could do is just shed tears, because at that particular moment, you start to flash family members in that same situation, and what would you do? Well, you just can't do anything. End the life, So it's very difficult, very, very difficult.
Very difficult, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So another reason. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm mostly in the health sector, and she came home a few times telling us about some around our age coming in because they attempted to take their life, and well, they have to give them treatment, and they still die. They still die at the end of it, and it's so sad. She's there having to take care of them and thinking, this could be my daughter or my son. And at that point, where after they already made the decision, they often feel like they are sorry that they did make the decision and they want to reverse it. They want to change their life, and they see where life is now has meaning, but at that time their life is ending. you know.
Wow.
So it's very
Yeah,
sad.
it is, right? So another reason that persons may commit suicide is when they are experiencing chronic pain or illnesses, right? Some persons, when they find out that they have cancer, they feel that's the end of the world. When they find out that they have HIV, they think that's the end of it, and they don't believe that they can, go on, move forward in life, or even survive. They feel like they're going to be sick and having to depend on persons to take care of them. Good afternoon, Jean. Welcome. So those who are now joining us on the live, we are dealing with suicide, and we know that suicide. Some persons don't like to talk about it. It is still a very touchy area to, a subject to talk about because I mean, a lot of persons don't believe in taking one's life. So they will say, then give yourself life. Why should you take it? Persons believe, you should really have hope, but you don't know what it is really just driving that person, that push that person over the edge to do such an act. I mean, it is gruesome. And, some of the ways that persons attempt. Now we will see, especially in young adults, what you will see some of the things that they may do is self-harm. So you may see them cutting on their wrist. It's a very, very regular thing. Another thing, like young ladies who are being abused, what may do is cut on their inner thigh, right? Of course, that's something that you may not see, right? But it does happen, right? For persons who are going through abuse. So a lot of times, persons who are going through abuse. Now, Mikey did ask about peer pressure. One of the things that I would have seen about 2 years back in terms of peer pressure is that first, some of the young people, depends on the artists that they follow, they just, for some reason, the music that they listen to, they will say it's the music, and they will just cut themselves, and they say they are cutting themselves for no reason, right? But that is something very serious, right? Self-harm. It became a trend. And some of them, what happened, they don't know how to express themselves when it is they are going through some level of stress in their life, or there's a situation at home that is, harming them, whether it's physically or mentally. Right? So you see a lot of young adults self-harm. So they will cut their hands. You may start to see that they start wearing long sleeve t-shirts because they don't want anyone to see that they are cutting themselves. And then some may actually, they will be very open and they may actually see that they are cutting themselves because they're trying to get that attention from others. Right? So as we are talking about some of the things that persons may do, what are some of the signs you think may indicate that someone is either, is in a suicidal state of mind? Abby, what are some things you think you could look for?
I think the way they start to look, their appearance, their hygiene. I have experienced something like this before. I had some neighbors, they were young teenagers, and I've lost touch with them and just happened to see them out of the blue. And it's like, hey girl, what's going on? Grab her by the arm. And of course she jumped due to the self-harming. And all her sleeve was started bleeding. But overall, watching her appearance, she looked run down. She looked like she haven't been taking care of herself for a while,
Right.
So even due to me finding out that she was self-harming, just her appearance alone is a telltale sign.
Yeah. Now, as you mentioned, it seemed like she wasn't taking care of herself and so forth. What happens as well, some persons, they start using drugs. And the drugs, it leads to some sort of chronic depression and anxiety, and persons indulge in behaviors that they would not have engaged in before. And that too can lead to persons wanting to commit suicide, persons alcohol abuse, and of course persons with various mental illnesses and disorders. right? So if it is someone who has a mental illness, a mental disorder, and they are not, but there are some prescribed medications, right, for persons who have these mental illnesses and disorders, and they are not taking the prescribed medication or doing anything to help them with their situation, they are at risk for committing suicide. Yes, so self-harm, if it is recognized someone is self-harming, that is definitely a sign that this person can commit suicide, right? And when person self-harm, that shows low self-esteem, that shows hopelessness. They don't love themselves. So it's like they have no purpose. They don't even care for how your appearance then, right? You don't care about those things. It's like it doesn't mean anything anymore, right? Verena, what are some signs you think, will indicate that someone is suicidal?
I think that seeing them being withdrawal, some of them withdraw from conversations and talking with people, and they just start to have
Yeah.
themselves alone and not
Mm-hmm.
communicate. John, talking about that. And another thing is what else? I think I lost the point I was with the other point. But yeah, withdrawal and an unusual set of unhappiness, and sometimes you may hear them say things like life is meaningless, they will have negative things to say about their life
Always negative,
and
yes.
negative things, yeah, they will always be negative. And this may be somebody who was once optimistic or, a little more
Yeah.
positive than how they are now, and that's a sign that hey, something wrong here. They may be thinking
Mm,
about it.
yeah.
One of the things I've learned working with young people in the UK, Shamika, is that whenever they come to us, you always say them say, "I'm gonna kill myself, I'm gonna kill myself, I'm gonna kill myself," only to realize that they were really looking for attention and in the sense of they want to talk, so they use any suicide fact and notes saying, "I want to kill myself." When somebody want to kill themselves, they don't say it. So
All right.
most of the times is attention, and we have found that. Having spoken to them after, you will find the same things like, "Well, I was just saying that because I wanted attention or I wanted to talk to somebody." So sometimes that's some of the signs from experience also. So I don't know what is your take on that one.
Right. So someone now, what is the reason someone will be looking for attention? That's the first question, right? And when it is a now when persons are saying that they want to kill themselves, whether it's they young or old, we can't, take it as a joke, because then it might have some that they want, and if it is they want someone to talk to, it means that they are going through something. They won't want to talk to somebody for no reason. It means that they are facing either a crisis, they have some type of challenge that they don't know how to deal with, and they want someone to help them deal with it. It may be someone going through sexual abuse, yes. So Sherlyn is saying it's a cry for help. So whether they may not actually attempt the suicide, or you may not see them engaging in self-harm, for them to even come out and say that, you could never tell. You could
I
never tell.
I think, yeah, they do use it for attention, but because we in the health sector take it very seriously when you say
Yes.
stuff like that. Sometimes
Mhm.
we'll have to put them in accommodation, have to watch them 24/7, and now they feel a bit isolated due to the actions that they give out to people. We take it very
Yeah.
seriously. So by they now seeing that, all right, this is something very, very serious, they now retract on what they say. Oh, I wasn't serious about it. But the attention thing, yes. But because they use them kind of words, we now have to take it very seriously and take
Very
action,
serious.
whether
Yeah.
they're serious or not.
Exactly, because some of them may be serious, Yeah, so they are definitely on a suicide watch. And because someone, and that's why we have the hotline numbers below. So it could be 12 o'clock in the night, and you're going through stress, and you feel like you just feel this overwhelming sense of hopelessness. And sometimes it is so spontaneous. You don't even think about calling. So that's why some person may have one little moment of thought, let me reach out for help. Right? And when, as I say, anybody, you just don't take it for a joke. Some person may try to play it off as a joke, but there's something under there. It has something underlying that is causing them to say, I want to kill myself. I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. It could be something as parents, they are neglecting their children. So when it is they feel neglected, right, in the case of children or even the elderly, if it is they feel neglected, they feel very alone. They feel like they have no type of connection to their supposedly loved ones, the persons who are supposed to be closest to them. It can let them feel like, they don't belong. So if it is they feel like they have no sense of belonging, that can cause them to feel like, they don't want to be here anymore. But they will still cry out. They still want to feel that sense of belonging. And they want to be a part of. They want to feel loved. So they will cry out. And they may say, I don't want to live anymore. Or I want to kill myself. Right? And it is very, very, very serious.
But why you think in most cases we know, and I know Abby is up on that side because I've experienced it too. When it comes, because a lot of English children under certain ages do a lot of self-harming, and they look for the most ridiculous things to do, not just using razor blade. Again, as Sheldon said, crying for help because of situations that probably might be going on in the homes. So they're looking to get out of the situation, and in order to get out of it, sometimes they will do so much harm that the authorities will have to come and remove them, only to realize that there were issues within the home that even the parents couldn't address, not knowing that the child was hurting more than them.
Yeah, so I mean, it could be so many things. It could be something that came out of something that happened in school, right? So sometimes a child may be bullied at school, and they may talk to the teachers, they may talk to even a social worker or guidance counselor, and the bullying continues, right? And then on top of the bullying in school, when they're at home, they are being abused as well.
Yep.
Yeah?
I like what Sheldon said. Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Sheldon, throw it back up. So we want to shout out Sheldon Coffee,
Who's that?
aka Lion,
Oh.
who
him.
is our
him.
technical guy. He's the guy behind the scenes making sure we see all the comments, right?
Technical
He's
guy.
saying youth outreach is on the decline.
It's not on the decline. You don't even get much programs in the communities. I could tell you that. In Trinidad, you don't have, we were speaking about last night on the basketball program. When it comes to youth, there's nothing for the young people anymore. So
That's true.
when there's nothing for them, and the days gone by where they could have gone to Savannah, play a little football, cricket, the girls could have gone play a little netball, they could have get involved in various sporting activities that could keep them active. That is no more. So with the outreach, you still have people who not even thinking along the line that, hey, besides us as adults being affected of all what's going on, our children are also being affected. So we can't just see about ourselves only and just leave them alone. From the smallest come up. So what you're seeing, retaliation, besides the suicide notation, and in a sense, you could look. I've realized that I don't know, Abby, if you ever experienced this in the UK, but I've experienced this in Manchester. When you're seeing young people walking like zombies, they literally walk and you will see them walking, the gazing all over the place. But because of the laws, you can't just go to them, you can't touch them unless they want help. So Abby, I don't know if you ever experienced that.
Yes, I see that it still happen up to this day where activities, I wouldn't say it limited, it have loads, but due to finance, some parents may not be able to afford it. So now these kids gonna just walk the streets,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's nothing that you could do about it because sometimes most parents working, two of them working, and the kids, especially the young teenagers, they're home. Their best activity is to walk the streets.
Yeah.
Mine
Shamika,
also.
what do you think about that?
Yes. So what I will say concerning the programs now, because of COVID-19, there are a lot of things that persons are unable to do, right? Young to old. So a lot of things would have been face to face, a lot of social interaction in public spaces. Now that is nil, right? It is nil. And that is something very serious. That's why we spoke about our socialization aspect. In terms of the youth outreach programs on the client, what happens right now, it may have programs that are out there, but sometimes it's due to location, it's due to parental involvement. So if parents are uninvolved, sometimes the child, it may have very few, it's very in the minority. You may find that a youth will actually take it upon themselves to go out there and seek to join in a program. But there we have the police youth club. We know that in some areas they have they have cultural groups. There are some communities that have football, basketball, cricket. Right, cricket and football is the main two a lot of times, depending on the location. Right, it's there. But Abby mentioned something very important: is the affordability. So now, the young person may reach out, but it may not have someone in the community who's willing to stretch out their hand and help this child or help the teen. Right? So even though it may have a young person that may try to do it on their own and say, okay, let me see if it is I can get myself involved in a sport or in a whatever club, right? Sometimes it is challenging for them because it doesn't have anyone meeting them halfway. Yeah? And as adults, we want to be able to say, okay, if it is this person reach out, let us see how best we can meet them halfway. And once we do that, it will the community will become better. Once we are meeting each other halfway. Now, persons, as we said, the youth, they cry out for help in many different ways. Even adults too. Sometimes, why this person? It have persons who may really be optimistic all the time. They are very positive individuals, and then drastically, you just see a sudden change in their behavior. You see behavioral patterns as something very, very important to pay attention to. So this person always outside, they always partying, or they are very involved in community activities, and then you're like, but I ain't see this person long time. And you're finding a hearing, that's the person who will normally call and check up and see how we're going, and they realize they are nowhere to be found. You're not hearing from them. You're not seeing them, maybe even posting, and you're wondering what's going on. So that is an indication. They start to isolate and, they withdraw themselves from, social activity, because sometimes they don't even want to, because they feel so hopeless, is they don't want to even interact with persons. And sometimes persons, they don't want nobody to know what it is they are going through. So even though they may be open, they may be the one listening to others. They don't know who they could trust to even talk to. That is something else. That is very important, right? So let us go to a little quick break. And we will come back and continue.
All right. I'll play a song. I want to play a song. before we go to the full break, all right? So you're locked on to, what are we locked on to? Sweetbread?
The effects
So you're
of
listening to the effects of
COVID-19.
COVID. I know, I just pulled it on the leg. So let's just play a song here. Your effects of COVID-19 on the family, the blueprint. And you're listening to Shamika James, our social worker. All right? And we're talking suicide.
She's taken my time, convinced me she's fine. But when she leaves, I'm not so sure. It's always the same. She's playing her game. And when she goes, I feel to blame. Why won't she say she leaves me? I know she's not as strong as she seems. Why don't I see her cry for help? Why don't I feel her cry for help?
Oh, I'm so city.
I got SPM, baby. I got SPM, non. I fais petit temps, bébé. I got SPM, non. I got SPM, bébé. I got SPM, non. Wap got SPM, tandis. I got SPM, non. C'est genre de femme, remè l'argent bon dollar. Toujours à checker, n'est qu'à travail dans l'état. Tant y'aurait mes pouvoirs, tant y'aurait mes ça. Quatre roues motrices, vite des services de l'état. Adia, pas exigeant passé, yo pas souviré, depuis yo pas Prado. Dommage, ça y'au pas c'est bouillir de l'eau. Si c'est pour manger, ou mettre check puis mon resto. I got SPM, bébé. I got SPM, non. I fais petit temps, bébé. I got SPM.
你個半天，你個卡你個真慢嘅。
I got SPM, non. Give me now. Give me now. Chérie, faut entendre. Let me see you. L'aime fait la chambre, moi fait lundi. De 7 à 19h, son jour.
So we're back inside the effects of COVID-19 on the family, the blueprint with Shamika James. And people, we're talking about suicide. I have one of my listeners is saying that this is one of the most powerful topics you can think about, because suicide is a general, how to say, it's something that we don't talk about, and it's time that we need to talk about issues like this. Suicide is one of the most important things in society today, especially going through the experience of COVID-19. What do you say, Shamika?
Yeah, suicide, yes, as we were saying earlier, it is something that persons don't talk about, right? And hence the reason sometimes persons don't reach out for help. They don't feel comfortable, they don't feel like they can trust anyone to talk about their feelings and their thoughts, right? Because I mean, if somebody come and say, hey, you know, I feeling real hopeless, and you realize that they just, you know, some persons are they may say a lot of negative things, and they may like, I have no purpose in life, you know, I don't want to be here anymore. And that is very, very heavy.
Yeah.
So like persons who don't know how to deal with it, it will be too much for them. I'd be like, come to you, why so negative? Go from here. These kind of things people say, wait is you taking a life for? I mean, some person will deal with someone saying, you know, I feel like ending my life, you know, differently. That is why.
So what you're saying, most times people contribute to the fact of people carrying out suicidal
yes,
attempts.
because they don't have a listening ear. So when it is persons don't have a listen, they don't know who to really reach out to. And I think that's where the challenge, one of the challenges are, because if it is they don't know who to reach out to, then they hold up everything, and then when another situation comes up that pushes them over the edge, they may just commit suicide, or they may attempt and it may not go through. Somebody may catch them in time, right? And now statistics will show that men are more successful at committing suicide, because they will just, as they say, blow their brains out, right? They will go to, you know, they will be extreme. They won't just, you know, yes, it will be talk about themselves. Some ladies, they may just cut their wrists, or they may take some pills alcohol and some pills and try to
Overdose.
overdose.
Yeah.
And somebody may catch them in time and they're able to, pump out, the medication and treat them, in emergency care. But not all the time, some persons are that fortunate where someone may catch them in time, right? Some persons, they may attempt to hang themselves, but they really don't know what they're doing. So
but
it may
it's
not
very
be successful.
it's very interesting what you said, and we know that is facts when it comes to men and suicide. That seems to be more prevalent than a woman committing suicide in most cases. What do you think is the cause of that?
No, so as I was saying, is that when it is men go to commit suicide, they take extreme measures, right? So they really want to end it. A woman, she may try, but it's her way of trying to cry out for help. She may try, okay, hopefully somebody finds me. So it wouldn't be as extreme as a man, right? The other thing is that women, they talk more than men. So men, they do not share, how it is they are feeling. A lot of times they wouldn't, express themselves, all because of our culture and how it is the men were brought up. Don't cry.
Yeah. There's only sissies cry.
Yeah, and sure, saying yes, men, they do get the job done.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, right? So a woman, they may talk to another, they may talk to a friend, they may talk to a family member, or it might have a support group. You hardly likely find men's support groups. You can find women, forming little groups, and they will talk. Men, they will be talking good with their partners, and the partner may not even really know what it is they are going through.
Yeah.
Because, of course, they are uncomfortable. They don't trust that, okay, I can talk to this person. This is how I'm feeling. Right? And talking about how you feel and expressing your stress, if it is, talk about it, you will not be able to deal with it. Everybody deal with things differently, right? So some persons, they, as I say, they're back strong and they can handle situations. They will, if it is, they decide, well, I need help. Yes. So Sherlyn is saying male support group will be an excellent service.
Well, the thing is, we have always, I've been saying that long time, Shamika, and I totally agree with Sherlyn. One of the things and one of the issues in Trinidad and Tobago today when it comes to men, and you said it, men don't talk. Most men are introverts, women are extroverts, right? And the trust factor.
Mike, the introvert and the extrovert I don't think that should work there. That I wouldn't say that really, but it's just the fact of that trust, as you were going to say, that they wouldn't trust others.
Yeah, but why are you using the introverts for the men? For men, because men don't talk in general. And not talking and not trusting someone close to you is another downfall. Because whereas most men won't groom in a way, as I just said, to cry, to share their feelings, they don't do that. So when things happen in the home, they shelter, they go in a shell, whereas they can talk. So if something is happening to them, they need to speak. And again, going back to the support groups, I have known over the years there were many male support groups, but the issue was they weren't really male support groups, if you understand what I'm saying. I could call a lot of them names. They won't support male groups. They form groups under the pretext that is a male group. But when you get into the groups, they were more feminine in the sense of they will deal with more women issues than their own male issues. This is facts. I can tell you that.
Yes, that's true.
I can tell you that. That's facts. And anybody could challenge me with that. I telling them it's facts. You have a male group. The male group, yes, you will have females, but you will focus on the issues of females, but you wouldn't focus on the issues of men because you form a group under the pretext that is a male group. That has happened for years. That's why you don't have much male groups. There's only one male group in Trinidad and Tobago, and that's called that's Rondell Fields. He has one group for men. Where the rest? When you look around, you seeing, and you know that Shamika, you see more female groups than anything else. So who is supporting the man? Anybody can tell me? That's the question I'm asking. Who is supporting the man?
Yeah, that is I mean, it is a very good question because what you will see is that now I am wondering when it is okay, so you form a group. Now, if it is you don't have a plan on what it is you want to address, you don't have a mission and a vision, like a true mission and vision. And that's where people need to start. So if it is you are saying that you are having a male, now as we say, now the thing about it, sometimes you want to separate women, men, girls, boys, and there are times when it is they need to come together and get the support of everyone. So it's not just everybody in isolation. Right now, when it is you say that the men form the group, yes, they do, but then they deal with women issues. The question is, why discuss women issues when they really form the group to deal with men issues? What happened? And why do you think that is?
No,
That's a very interesting
there was a
topic.
group. There's a group called MAVO for years that I've been speaking to the guy who started the group, and I had was to put him in his place. At the end of the day, when you start a group, you call it MAVO, right? Men against violence against women. But you never discuss male issues. I don't understand that. You want me to ask you, or you want me to tell you what happened to the group today? Defunct. Because he had no vision, as you said, for males. So all he keep doing, he formed this group. You have women. Nothing wrong with that. As you said, we had to keep it balanced. I always believe in balance. But you neglected the men. So today when we see men committing suicide, who are they going to talk to? Me? You?
Right. So I think that that is where so that's the thing. So it come like this. As children like to say, sometimes ladies like to talk about men, but we are not a man. So we wouldn't exactly know what it is the man is going through. So we cannot just assume this is why they behave that way, or this is why they do what they do. It's a man who will know that, right? They will be able. So when it is this map or group, men were against violence against women, it wasn't really a man's group. It's a group to stop violence against women. So it wasn't really that group was not about supporting men.
It wasn't supporting men, exactly.
No, that's not what the group was about in the first place. So,
but if they're looking for a male support group, the Ministry of Sports and Community Affairs, I think they have a male group, a male support group. Check them out on Facebook. And they are asking like more citizens and so on to come on, get on board. They even have a parent support group. So, the parents will join to get assistance with their children, and they have a lot of services.
Yes, so the police service, they do have a lot of programs for men, right? Ministry of Social Development, they too do have programs for men, and that's why you will see, well, we can't do the once-a-year thing, but they do have the father-son events when it's coming around Father's Day. There are things like this, and what I think the problem is see, sometimes people will hear and just brush it across, right? They will just brush it off, like whatever. So when person's saying that, there are no programs, there are programs out there, but do you really want the program. So you may
Exactly.
hear
And you
people
ask
saying
questions.
yes, you may say, people may say, but there are not any courses in the community that's free. But as in a true community development, do the courses, and you might just have a contribution of a $20 registration or something like that, right? The fee is not that, so exorbitant that you wouldn't be able to afford, right? So if it is you want it, that's the thing. If it is you want it.
You know,
Now,
coming back to
mhm.
Mike.
And
Sorry,
the thing
coming
is,
back to Mike.
men talking
Um,
about groups, but they mostly would leave the wives to be joining groups, and so women are the ones that usually join groups and talk, and they do that, and men don't really be interested in groups a
I
lot of the
wouldn't
it
say
time.
depends.
it
It
depends on the
depends.
group. They
Yeah,
may
it
join a
depends.
football club, they may join basketball, they will join cricket, they
Yeah,
will go fishing, they
but
will
I
go
mean,
to a
like things.
swimming club. No, but it's still a group, it still helps when it is they are part of a club. It may not be
Yeah,
in
no,
the
I
same
know that. I mean, like
form.
groups that deal with these issues. Then groups that deal with these
Yeah.
issues. They
Because
don't really.
why?
I don't. You know what? I don't think personally that
Mm-hmm.
men are equipped. Like I, as a man, wouldn't come to my and to cry, oh, my wife holding me or my girlfriend treating me bad. I think to that extent, they may think, they're a bit soft, they're not manly, and they might be a bit embarrassed. A couple weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, they had a mass shooting, suicide up in Plymouth. Said, I don't know if you all caught it on the international news. And he himself was in a group.
Mm-hmm.
They found out that he was in this male group, same thing, but the group and them was bashing women. He couldn't
Right.
find love due to the COVID situation and isolated. He couldn't find love. He was alone, he was depressed and whatever. And he happened to join this group bashing women, and he just decided to walk down the street and take a couple people with him.
Right. Murder,
So
suicide. Yeah, and that's something, while we talk about suicide, there's also murder, suicide. Yes? And Shulan is correct. Men were taught not to show weakness. And that is so parents, allow your boys to express themselves. Fathers too, because I mean, when you grow up under a culture where you grow up saying, no, boys not supposed to be weak, boys not supposed to cry, or whatever, find a way. So even though you might feel you grew up under this thing where boys not supposed to cry for whatever reason, you want to be able to guide your boy child, in a way that he's able to express himself, right?
But
Rather than hit.
wouldn't it look weak in society eyes? Again, when
If
you
it
say
is
it's in
we change,
society, yeah.
if it is we decide to change, I mean, things are changing, right? I mean, it has certain things. If it is we start making the changes, at some point in time, it's going to be the new norm. So, like
Yeah,
wearing masks is the new norm. It have a lot of things that then people never thought in their life. Like before, with corporal punishment, who would think that parents now, if it is a child call the authority and say my mother beating me, right? They're going to lock them up for abuse. Yes, Sherlon is saying women don't like weak men. No, there's a difference. There is a city weakness. We need to really identify what is a weak man. What does it mean for a man to be weak, for want of a better word, right? Because I don't think that men like weak women either. They will say that they want a strong woman at their side, right?
yeah.
Nobody, I don't think anybody likes that weakness. There are times where it is we may experience some form of weakness, but nobody, which woman like to feel weak? Rina, you like to feel weak?
No,
Abby, you want to feel like a weakling? I don't think
You
like
know
weak.
what?
I want to know I can
Mm-hmm.
I don't
handle
I
my
don't think
stories.
I don't think being a little bit vulnerable towards your man to get a little strong comfort from him, a little
Right.
care, and he come and he wipe
I
your
wa-
tears.
I was
To me,
listening
that
to
is
earlier.
a bit of, kind of uplift him to say,
Mhm.
yes, my woman, she vulnerable and I'm just here
I
to
love it
protect her.
when men show their emotion too. When
Yeah.
a man shows his emotion, it shows some level of strength for me,
Well,
I
right?
like that. I
let me
like
stop
that.
you.
Yeah.
Let me stop
Yeah.
you.
Well,
That's
Shalon said, man not going to cry to no woman.
listen,
Let me say a man
Shalon.
cry
I
is
don't.
really
I don't agree. I don't agree with that because I don't know if you remember. I said when a man cries, he's not weak. He is strong because he's expressing his feelings. When a woman cry, she's not weak. She's expressing her feelings. So when you stop your boy child from crying and telling him only women cry, only sissies cry, or he's a sissy, you don't put that mental block already inside there to tell him when he facing issues, life issues that is painful and hurting, be a man, don't express your feelings. But when he starts to cry, he is crying because he is hurting and he's also crying for help. Most men, right. When you look at domestic violence today, what do you think is the reason for that? When a man cannot express himself tearfully, he lashes out. Not so?
I wouldn't say tearfully, I wouldn't say that. I mean, you could express yourself without crying, right?
Name one.
Now with
Name one.
Mike, you could talk. When you talk, it doesn't mean that you have to cry.
But do
you
you-
could write.
But do you know?
Don't necessarily. It has some persons when they're angry, they may cry. Some persons when they're sad, they cry. So it's not necessarily that the person needs to cry to express themselves. You can so like right now I'm expressing myself, but you won't see tears coming out of my eyes.
Well, everybody is different, eh? Just remember that. Everybody
That's right.
is
Everyone
different.
is different, but it doesn't mean
But
that when
sometimes I
someone
need to
is
cry.
crying,
Listen,
express
listen.
myself without
That's
crying.
that's why I said,
Yeah.
woman, a woman will cry for any bleeping thing. Once she's hurting, because women are extroverts. They talk a lot, and due to the talking, if they cannot get away, and you as a man interrupt that, she's going to lash out in such a way it might be physical. She will try to blow snot for you to feel sorry for she, and you as a man now go mellow down, hug up, kiss up, then only go to bed to quiet her down. Whereas a man now, he believe I am a man. Men don't cry. Why crying for? You go in front of your partner and you're telling your partner about your issues. Let me say we add any suicide there, but you're having issues in your home, but you're talking to your partner and you start to cry in front of him or a little tears, he will stop and say, boy, what you crying for? You're a little girl, a big man like you, boy, go back home and deal with the woman. That's what you get today. That's what you get today. So the person you talking to may not be the right person to talk to. But then, how a man, Shamika, as a social worker, how a man will know who to really express himself to?
right? So this is where we go to the professional help, right? So sometimes the person that you will be able to trust is the person that don't know you and you don't know them, right? So a lot of we know that the country is small, people know people, that kind of thing.
Trinidad.
But when it is you seek professional help, so that's why we have the numbers, as I said, to the bottom of the screen.
Right.
Right, and in addition to that, there are different places that you can seek counseling. So, like me, if it is you can contact us, and you can receive individual counseling. So that way, you know that you can trust someone. So we have a question from Mom Lestro to say, can you tell someone how to express themselves?
Nope.
Now, each person expresses themselves in different ways, right? So some persons like to, they may, because they don't know really how to be, as we say, men the boys grow up with, not expressing the weak feelings. So if it is they are going through a challenge, nobody may want to hear it.
Yeah.
And they will say, man up.
Man up.
So they may not know, okay, they won't be able to talk it out. And it have some women as well, they will not talk it out. So what it is, everyone is different. Some persons, they will speak. Some persons are better, they may be able to write how it is they feel. Some persons, what they may need to do is find themselves in a physical activity to just let go of what it is they are facing in life. So they may not write, so they may join a boxing club because they're very aggressive and they need to release that aggression. Or they may join the gym because that will be their way of being able to express and release their anger, release their stress, release their worry. So expression, some person may do dance because that will be their way of expressing themselves. So for each person, yes, everybody can express themselves, but it's how you choose. Will you choose a platform or an activity that you'll be able to express yourself? Channel positively rather than a negative way. In that form,
right,
where express yourself through dance, through music, that type of thing.
right. So
Yes, so let us.
So are we saying saying
Mhm.
that I agree with you there. So are we saying that when it comes to the woman also, your expression, the way you express yourself when you're going through pains is basically similar to the man? Or is it completely different?
As we say, everybody is different. Some may have some similarities, it may have some differences. So what we're going to do is go to a short break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about how it is we can support someone who is feeling suicidal. What is it we can do to uplift them and give them some sense of hope?
All right. So we're listening to the effects of COVID-19 on the family, the blueprint with Shamika James, our social worker here. And the powerful topic we're discussing this evening is suicide. So if you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a ticker tape running a lifeline 24-hour hotline, 800-5588 or through 312824 220-3636. Emergency attempted suicide, you can call 990-811 or 999. We're going to be right back.
Boutique TV is about merging
Boutique TV is where we bring the vibes. So we are back on the inside.
Yeah, we're back.
Right?
We're back.
Yes. So, Verena, what will be some of the ways that you think you can support someone who you observe maybe having suicidal thoughts, feeling some sense of hopelessness? What will be some of your words of encouragement, or what type of support will you provide to that person?
So I think it's very important to listen. A lot of the times people are not very quick to jump up and say, but what's going on with you? Nice, one. You think you should be happy you wake up this morning. But no, usually when someone is going through this, they have an issue, it's better that you sit and you listen to what it is they have to say. You don't have to say anything at that point in time, just listen.
Yes,
So
listening.
some positive things that I am always positive most of the time. And I would talk and try to comfort them, right? I will comfort you. I will show some kind of empathy. Yes, I may not understand what it is to be in your situation, but I can empathize and probably try to help you see the different solutions to your problem. Because sometimes, you're in that situation and you think this is the only way out. And from another person's perspective, you might realize, well, wait now, I could do X, Y, and Z instead of doing this, and you might end up being able to get a better result. So those are the things. But the first and foremost thing to do is to listen.
Yes, agreed. Abby,
I think that is
thank you,
important.
Verena.
That is important.
Thank you, Verena. So
Well
let's hear
said.
from Abby now.
Yes, listening is a vital part of it. But sometimes people may think listening may not be enough. They actually want to see action. And for someone who's not educated enough to handle that kind of situation, like a person like me, how would I be able physically to help someone that's going through something? Shazan would have been a perfect person on this topic because she had a friend what was going through situations. Even though she asked me for a little help, advice wise, I also tell her to listen, but how long you gonna take on all her burden? Keep listening, and there's nothing you could do. And she tried helping out with authorities and stuff, but it ended up, very sad at the end. And there's only so much listening to do, you know. Some
Yeah.
people like me ain't that educated to know physically what to do to shake someone out their depression stage or mental state or whatever. It's a bit sad.
Yeah, it
I
is. It is.
I believe in referrals, and I like what Abby said because she was honest. Someone comes to you, and I've been there. I've been there. People will come to you. You can only say so much to them to encourage them, but when it comes to thinking that you can tell them everything, but you're really not telling them everything that they want to hear. So I always believe referrals is important. So like Shamika being a social worker, you have other institutions. We refer them to them. We do our part, and whatever we have done, we satisfy, we refer them to others. I've been there because we have to be very mindful that these people come to us with issues, mental issues, issues that the slightest or the wrong thing we say as non-professionals could trip them.
Yes.
You understand? So we have to be very mindful of that. And that's why, as we say, if you guys look at the under your screen, you can see the lifeline, you can see the numbers, call somebody if you have any issues, call Shamika, and I'm sure Shamika could say a lot. She might be able to say everything, but then she might be able to refer you also. All right? So, again, another big program, and suicide, big topic. Big topic. Well done again, Shamika.
Yes, so what I would like to say to our listeners and our viewers is that when it is you see someone is going through a very stressful situation, they are depressed or they have attempted to commit suicide, you want to ensure that they get help. And as Abby rightfully said, listening is only so much listening can do. You have to provide the person now with tools that will help them help themselves then. Self help. Because sometimes there may not be anyone around. and they need to know what to do. So you need to provide them with the tools. And in order to provide someone with the tools, it come like if somebody needs a hammer, you wouldn't send them to the bookstore. They'll need to go to the hardware for that, right? So you want to make sure that that person goes to the right institution or the right person for that type of help, where they will be provided with the necessary tools and the necessary skills to help themselves. So, I mean, when it comes down to hopelessness and feeling like you can't live no more, it is very, very, very tough, right? A lot of persons, for many different reasons, it could even be a professional as well. They too may go through stresses, and they may, the counselor, they sometimes need a counselor, you know? So what we want to do, if it is we really realize that we are going through something, and one thing that I like to ask persons is like, what is it that you are good at? What do you do that puts a smile on someone else's face? Because they might think, nah, but when you think about it, when it is you meet up with somebody and you're going through whatever and you're thinking you have no purpose, sometimes the good thing that you do is just put a smile on someone else's face. And that goes a long way, right? Sometimes even greeting persons in a good manner rather than walking past and somebody you see that they're sad and they say, how you looking so? How you looking down so? Instead of, say, hi, good morning, have a wonderful day or something. Instead of you're down on the person, telling them how they're looking so negative and how they're looking so down. Right? So you want to be able that when you go out there and you see someone looking down, you could say something nice.
Positive.
Have a yes, say something nice to them. Say something positive. Say something uplifting. And that sometimes that one word, even a good morning, the person morning may not be going good, and they say good morning. No, we're talking about good morning, in a very nice tone. That will make a very big difference.
But have you experienced walking by people and say good morning, good night, good evening, and they grunt at you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because they're in a bad mood. Yes, we have it. I mean, everybody experienced that. Everybody experienced that. And some people might be like, what's so good about the morning? Yeah. Right? People are there. What's so good about the morning? Right? I mean, just having life in itself is a good thing. So we want to thank everyone for locking on tonight, this evening, for really tuning in, for sharing their experiences. We want to thank Sherlon. He's the man behind the scene who now just threw up this overlay that we're seeing people coming out of phone, all kind of tech and things. So when you see all the graphics and the switch that's taking place, all you see our hands are free. That is Sherlon Coffee. So we want to thank you very much for your continued support. And we thank everyone. Abby, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We know you are a very busy woman. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Verena, and his son who has been having us laughing here as well, because I know he did some faces there. I mean, those little things put a smile on people's faces. Yes, it changed the whole atmosphere. People just get very excited when they see some people just get a whole different thing when they see children. Now his face is very serious. He looking like he want to twitch. You see, look, he doing something there now.
Twitching. He twitching.
Yes, so we thank everyone, and don't forget tomorrow it is Sweaty Sunday. This is where we relieve our stress, right? So Abby, it's 7 our time. I think it might be 11 your time?
12.
12. Okay. Right, so we have Sweaty Sunday tomorrow. Right? So we're gonna have some fun and bring your broomstick. So we're using a broomstick tomorrow.
Okay, outside thing.
Yes.
All right.
Right, so bring your broomstick, people. We're gonna, we like to add a little flavor and spice and everything nice. So we thank you one and all for tuning in. It was a pleasure having everyone here.
Big show.
Thank you and have a enjoy the rest of the weekend. Stay safe and we will get through this together.
So we want to thank Shemika James for another powerful show again topic being suicide. Want to say good night to Abby, good night to Verena. And for those who are interested, now look at lock on tonight. Tonight is Lovers Rockers from 8:30 until midnight. So guys, have a good one. Love, peace, joy. We're going to catch you. All right? Have a good one.
For once won't hold me tonight. If this town is just an apple, then let me take a bite. If they say why? Uber everywhere. Take the Uber everywhere. Uber everywhere. Take the Uber everywhere. Uber everywhere. Take the Uber everywhere. Uber everywhere. Take the taxi everywhere.
Your man say he don't like me. I don't like that you just call. You say something. He make your man follow me on IG. Motherfucker, unfollow that